For decades, the Marshmallow test was framed as a crystal ball for children. If you waited, you won. If not, the prognosis was grim. The experiment began in the late 1960s at Stanford University's Bing Nursery School, under the direction of psychologist Walter Mischel. A researcher would lead a 4-year-old into a room, place a treat on a plate, and offer a choice: eat it now, or wait 15 minutes for the researcher to return and receive a second one. Society interpreted this single, isolated moment as a definitive window into a child's character, believing it could separate the future leaders from the rest before they even started kindergarten. When Mischel tracked the participants into adolescence, he found that those who waited longer boasted higher SAT scores, better social skills, and lower body mass indexes. These correlations fueled a cultural obsession with grit. Willpower became the central focus for parents and educators, viewed as the engine that drove everything from career earnings to personal health. However, the study relied on a tiny, homogeneous group. Almost every child in the original cohort came from the same affluent Stanford University community. The prophecy of willpower seemed ironclad until researchers began applying the same test to the rest of the world. In 2018 and 2024, massive replication studies revisited the data. They followed over 700 children from diverse backgrounds, tracking them until age 26. Initial results showed the familiar trend. More time spent waiting in preschool suggested higher adult achievement. But when researchers added data layers for family background and socioeconomic status, the predictive power of the Marshmallow test vanished. The children who succeeded were those who grew up in affluent, stable households. Their later life outcomes were tied to their access to resources and a secure environment, not an innate biological trait. For 50 years, we looked at the structural advantages of wealth and stability and labeled them as individual willpower. To understand why a child might eat the marshmallow immediately, we have to look at the reliability of the world they live in. Grabbing the first treat is a rational calculation of risk. It is a decision based on the child's lived experience of how the world actually works. Wait times represent an emergent behavioral decision, influenced by the social and economic systems surrounding the child. The test provides an early indicator of environmental stability and the level of scaffolding provided by the child's parents. Ultimately, the classic marshmallow test doesn't simply measure an innate trait of willpower. Instead, it effectively measures the overall reliability of a child's world. Helping children develop the ability to wait starts with building trust. Patience is an expectation that only develops when the world around a child is consistently reliable. Improving long-term outcomes requires adults to focus on the environment, reducing chronic stressors and addressing resource scarcity. Choosing an immediate reward is often a learned survival mechanism. It is a behavior that calls for empathy and support, rather than a judgment of discipline. Long-term success is rooted in a stable, trustworthy environment, a factor far more influential than any isolated test of willpower.